guys, welcome back to Linda's Pantry. So today I'm gonna make a beautiful bread for my husband to take back with him, and he likes the cinnamon and raisin bread, so it's great for breakfast in the morning, and I'm gonna make sure it has lots of healthy nutrients as well as the normal stuff. So if this inspires you to stay with me, and I'll show you how I make this beautiful cinnamon swirl bread. Go down in the description box, check out my Facebook page. That's where I load all my current videos and sometimes share videos of other people's stuff that I think is fabulous, and join in on that conversation. Also, right next to that is my Wild Tree website link, and you can go over there and shop for all natural, all organic products, and or become a rep yourself, earn some extra money, and let's just get with it and go make some homemade bread. Okay guys, so here we're just going to make a basic bread recipe, but I'm going to make sure that I add all my favorites. So I'm not too picky about how much yeast I use. I'm going to use a full tablespoon, and you're just going to let that yeast get a little bit happy, and to make it happier, you're going to add about a teaspoon of sugar. Now, you could add honey. You could, for my pizza dough, I always add honey. So, we're just going to stir that around, and then you're going to let this yeast bloom. And what happens is it wakes it back up. This water is warm to the touch, but not at all hot. If you get it too hot, you're going to kill your yeast, and you won't have bread. Anyway, so that being said, now we're going to get our flour mixture in here, and I'm going to use white all-purpose flour as well as whole wheat flour. And so, got about a cup and a half of all-purpose, and then we're going to add wheat, and because whole wheat flour can be a little bit heavy, I'm going to use a Vital Wheat gluten. It'll actually lighten that dough right up. And I want to add some ground flaxseed into this as well. Since we're having this for breakfast, we might as well be healthy, right? Healthier. My husband likes to have this toast. So I'm going to add a couple heaping tablespoons of organic flaxseed. Brown flax. Now this is a Vital Wheat gluten, and it just makes a really light, lofty, chewy dough. I don't know how else to explain it. And a good 2-3 tablespoons of that. I'll just put 3. And you're going to need salt. And I use Himalayan pink salt for everything. It's up to you how much or how little, but I think the salt's going to balance the sweet. And this is really the only way to get it into the dough to enhance the flavor of everything. So, a few grinds of that down there. And now, this is already bloomed. Here you can see there's like a frothy top to it, which is exactly what we want. That means our yeast is working and trying to do magic in there. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add that into the mix and bring our dough hook down and start mixing. And the reason I don't have exact measurements on the flour, it depends a lot on humidity, it depends on how many loaves I want to do, and all kinds of things. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one of these, a sweet raisin bread recipe, and one, I believe I'm going to do a little more on the savory side. So that being said, let's get you closer and we'll get to mixing this up. Okay guys, so I'm adding in a little bit of flour at a time, it's hard to put moisture back in once you get a pretty stiff dough. So we're just going to add this back in a little bit at a time until it is pulling away from the bowl cleanly, and then we can start the kneading process. I can see it's going to need more because it's still sticky. So I'll bring you back when it's actually pulling away from the bowl, and you can see what that looks like. All right, so I am going to start the kneading process because you can see how it's taken all the dough off away from the sides, off the bottom. And that's exactly what you want. That means you've got enough moisture to flour mixture. You don't want to get it too tough and doughy. So we're going to knead and 7 to 10 minutes. All right, so I just turned this off. It kneaded for 10 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and release this. And you should have a somewhat sticky dough, but it should not really stick to you per se. And I'm going to take my hook off, my dough hook, and loosen my bowl. I always love that. And I'm going to pull it up off the bottom here, and I'm actually going to let it rise right in this bowl. But I'm going to pull this dough. It's a nice big ball of dough. I'm going to pull that dough out of here, show you how clean that bowl comes. And we're going to add some olive oil to that. And the dough feels really nice. And so I'm just going to put this dough back in here. And, oh boy, what a beautiful elastic piece of dough that is. And so then you're going to turn your dough over so it gets oil all over it. So it doesn't dry out in the rising process, which can happen. And so I'm going to put plastic wrap on that. Wipe my hands off here. The plastic wrap doesn't allow any air in and just makes for an easy way to cover your dough up. Now you could use a tea cloth if you'd like to, but that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to put this in my little on-the-counter oven. I had it on warm, and now it's just really warm in there. Keep the light on, or you can put it in your oven with the oven light on and keep it nice and warm. Or you can put it on a sunny windowsill. All right, I'll bring you back when this is doubled in size and show you what I'm going to do. Okay, so finally, this has gotten a chance to go ahead and double in size. Oh, look how pretty that is. Smells really good. So all you're going to do is deflate your dough, and there's your nice hunk of dough. And I'm going to take this and pinch this in half, because that's really all I need is half of that. So now that I've got that pinched in half, I'm going to put some flour down here just to keep it from going all over the place, I think. Take my pinched off piece of dough, and I don't necessarily need to use a rolling pin, but definitely want to get it stretched out. And it doesn't really it wants to come back into itself, so I may need to let it stretch or set for a few minutes before I do this part, just to let it rest from being punched down or deflated, whatever you want to call it. All right, so I think what I want it about as wide as my baking dish. And those are cast iron, Lodge cast iron bread pans that I got at Sportsman's Warehouse. Sportsman's Warehouse is kind of like a Cabela's type store. Anyways, they have a big selection of cast iron, and I'm a cast iron. It's hard for me to leave without buying something. I don't know what that's all about, but it is what it is. Okay, now we're going to need some sugar and some butter. And I'm going to generously smear butter right there. It already looks good now, doesn't it? So you want to make sure that you get a fair amount. This is to help the sugar stick to this, as well as to get just a beautiful flavor. And then I've got some just plain white sugar. You can use whatever sugar you want. And get your layer of, don't be cheap on the sugar, because we didn't put any, really to speak of, any in the bread. So it's not a sweet bread. We're making a sweet swirl inside. Now that we've got that, then we want some, I think I'll do my nutmeg first so I can see what I'm doing. Just a little bit of nutmeg. And you want to get the whole nut. Take your microplane, and I'm going to make sure that you can see that. Get you up closer. Just because I don't want you to see what I see, or at least as close as I can. Okay. So you're just going to go over this microplane with that nutmeg. And just a little dusting, just like, let's say you were doing a light dusting on something that you wanted pepper on. You just want to see it. You don't need to have it take over the flavor of what you're doing, but you definitely want to see it. Then we got some cinnamon, and that, we're just going to dust that with cinnamon. Who doesn't love cinnamon and sugar? All right, well, I have a dilemma. The raisins that I wanted to use, I do not have. And the ones that were in that bag were, the bag wasn't closed and sealed up properly, so I don't want to use them. So, that being said, we're just going to roll it up, and it's going to be cinnamon and sugar. And no big deal. Now, you're going to turn it this way because we wanted the width, remember, for our bread pan. And you're just going to roll it up. It's not that big a deal. Oh, I cannot wait for this. My hubby is going to be so happy. And so now you can let this rise just like this. And I like to pinch these ends down. You could let this rise and make cinnamon rolls if you wanted, or you can make this beautiful bread. And we're going to do the bread. So seam side down into the, oh, I need to spray that down. Spray your pan or oil it, whatever you care to do. I'm going to spray it. So, anyway, if it wasn't so late in the day, I'd say we'd go to the store and get some raisins. But all right, so on this loaf, we're going to do a savory loaf. But again, I'm going to put down some butter so everything has a place to stick to, and make it delicious. Won't this be good? All right, so boy, we got some high wind out there. I think we've got a storm coming in. So what I want to do is add some of my homemade garlic powder. Now this is dehydrated garlic. I've got a video on this. I think it's labeled dehydrating 6 pounds of garlic and something like that. Anyway, garlic powder. Then I've got some fresh rosemary that I am going to sprinkle down on this. And oh, doesn't that look good? There's nothing better than a fresh garlic and rosemary. But I'm also going to add Wild Tree's Absolutely Onion Blend. This stuff is fabulous on almost everything. I love it. It's got that sweet Vidalia onion flavor and just makes everything delicious. Good helping of that. Okay, now again I'm going to turn my bread or my dough this way, and start rolling. And once we get to the bottom there, go ahead and tuck your ends over, give them a place to go, and put it right in your bread pan. Bread pan is there. And we're gonna let these 2 loaves get all warm and take their cozy little nap and rise again. Let me see how much you can see on that, yeah. So, if you want to, you can spray the tops and or butter the tops. I'm gonna spray them. In my little on-the-counter oven, I have to lay parchment over the top of that lightly so it does not burn the top. And then I'm just gonna dust this savory one so I know which one is which with some herbes de Provence, and that will tell me that that is the savory loaf. And there you go. I'm also, I think I want to just put a couple little slashes in here. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but it adds a little rustic feel to the loaf. All right, I'm gonna let these rise. They're gonna double in size and we'll get going on baking some bread. I'll bring you back when I put it in the oven. Okay, so both of these loaves have had time to rise, and I'm gonna bake them off in my big oven because my little on-the-counter oven is full of chicken and I wanna get this done so it has time to cool so I can bag this up and show you the end result at least. All right, guys, so let's bake this off in a 400-degree oven. If I have to, I'll cover it with parchment, and I'll be back when they're all done. So now I'm ready to ice this beautiful loaf of bread. And all I'm doing is I've got some simple icing that I did, and I'll do a video on how to do that. This one's just pretty much a straightforward, and I'm trying to do this right-handed, so forgive me. This one has a butter-flavored extract as well as vanilla, heavy cream, some confectioner's sugar, and I love having icing with lemon zest and orange zest, and this is really an icing. This isn't necessarily like a icing you would put over cinnamon rolls. This is to top this bread. What runs down is going to be absolutely magnificent, and it's going to make it look appealing, as well as all the way down you get those little tidbits. So you have to have your bread at the right temperature for this kind of behavior. You don't want it too hot or it'll all melt down and it won't stay on top at all. And then you don't want too cool or it'll be all glopped on top and you won't have anything to speak of. So there you go. That is my icing for that beautiful cinnamon bread. Now, so it looks like we have made a cinnamon bread. I'm just going to mirror that by adding a little dusting of powdered cinnamon right on top. Isn't that pretty? All right, guys, I hope that this inspires you, because it's inspiring me, because now I want to taste it. It's beautiful. All right. Can't wait. So, as soon as this cools all the way down, I'm going to slice this for you and take a bite. All right. Okay, so it's finally cooled off enough that I think I can cut a slice of this and give you kind of a visual of what this bread came out like. My husband is ready to taste it. And oh, look how pretty that is. It's really pretty. I'm going to zoom you in a little bit. It really is pretty. Got that swirl going on. We'll cut one more slice here. And right where those layers are is where it wants to come apart. And look at that. There you go. Now we're talking. So, got that swirl. We got that beautiful glaze on top. Let's put this to the test here. Put some butter on it. And I'm not a sweets eater, so I'm probably not going to be the best judge of this, but maybe I can get my husband to take a bite and let you know how it tastes. Honey, you want a bite?
Sure.
Come here and take a bite and let him know how it tastes. So he's going to take a bite of this. You don't have to be on camera. Nope. You don't have to be on camera. And I can cut it out. All they have to hear is what it tastes like.
I'm sure it's going to be great.
He's sure it's going to be great. We'll see what he says here.
I was right.
Is it good?
It's really good.
Yeah? Are you missing anything out of that? Is it moist?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Delicious.
Okay. Okay, so we have a thumbs up over there, and he said it's delicious, and I'm going to take his word for it. I might take a little bitty bite of this. I just know I'm sending this with him. Because it's whole wheat. You've got to have it peanut butter and jelly quality. So now I'm going to show you the herbs de Provence here, and that loaf of bread, and then which I've got the garlic and the rosemary and everything on the inside. I'm going to put a little bit of butter. I don't need a whole lot. And you know this, it smells so good. I'm going to grab a bite for you really quick. Can you taste everything? Absolutely. The garlic, the rosemary, and the herbs de Provence. Wow. That's really amazing. And I have the sweet onion flavor in the background. What a great savory bread to put alongside a soup or a stew, or make a really decadent sandwich. Maybe with some cheese and top it in the toaster. Who knows? Anyways, I hope this inspires you. I hope that it brings you back. I truly hope that if you like this, you give me a thumbs up. And if you really like it, subscribe to my channel first off. Go over to my Facebook page in the description box below and go like that page so you get updated every time I upload anything. And you know what? Look forward to the next recipe. All right, guys. God bless.